If we win games, you don't give them no credit. If they make good decisions on, I remember on the last episode, you know what I mean, we spoke about Berta, who's coming in, a sporting director, right? You just about,
Credit.
You don't want to give them any credit. You got an agenda against them.
No, because
let's be real. You come on, you can just own up to it. You do.
Yeah, you could say that, but you said all. I don't blame everything on them. Like
you seem to.
They didn't buy Lukonga. They didn't decide to buy Calafiori instead of a striker. So there's some things that fall out of their hands, but all this thrown money at it and all that, they ain't thrown money at nothing.
Declan Rice, £100 million.
That's the club's money. Our fans generate that. Merchandise, tickets, love across the world. That's what generates.
Yeah, but they don't have to spend that money on that. They could just pocket.
They could, and they've done that for enough time after moving into the Emirates, and that's why we fell out of the top four. And guess what? Surprise, surprise. That's when be excited and there's a new face to
There you go again. There you go again. Those words you use all the time. Be excited.
Yeah.
The guy came out one time and said, be excited.
Yeah.
And that was the same season we bought Rice.
Yeah, he's sitting there like some leader of the world talking about be excited. All right, what were we excited about then? Was he talking about Nicolas Pepe 3 weeks later? Is that what he was talking about? Seems so.
Was you excited about that at the time?
Yeah, it was decent.
Was you excited about that at the time?
Signing. It was an exciting signing.
Right, so then if the man says be excited and you was excited about the signing, it was an exciting signing, why are you slagging him off?
No, because you don't say be...
It's not his fault he didn't work out.
You don't sit there as the new face of Arsenal, right? Because your dad's giving you the throne, yeah? And then talk about this is a new generation we're moving into, be excited, deliver Nicolas Pepe, which at the time was an exciting signing. He was one of the best wingers. That is not the context of what he was talking. And he was sitting down on some chair. I forgot who the interviewer was. This is the new man in charge, Josh Kroenke, and he's there like, be excited. If he meant Nicolas Pepe, then surely you should be here saying, nah, the Kroenkes need to go. Because what kind of ambition is that you're telling us be excited, you give us Nicolas Pepe, and that's it. 7 years later, I've got someone in front of me telling me they gave us Nicolas Pepe. That's not good enough.
No, listen, none of us are ever happy with what all owners do.
Sometimes. Nottingham Forest, I'm not even going to use Man City or Chelsea on the Roman here. I'll use Nottingham Forest, for example.
They're happy now.
They seem to be happy.
They were saying the guy was a bit crazy when the guy said that. That's a great example because their owner came out and he said, yeah, you know what? I'm looking to win the league, right? And my ambitions are getting the Champions League and everybody was mocking him. Oh, this guy's gone crazy, man.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, this man, maybe he should stick to like what he does, like, you know, shipping or something like that. What's he on about?
Yeah.
All right, great. Well, you got us back into the Premier League, but why you... But he was being ambitious and he was...
He's proven his worth.
Right.
Our owner said 2011...
Well, they ain't won the league, have they? He said they're going to win the league.
Stan said, I'm not here for trophies in 2011.
Yeah.
So I don't care that you pass it to your son. Stan is still the owner of this club. Kroenke, whatever. It's not... Josh is the face of it. But he goes to daddy and finds out if he can do this or that, even if he wants to do this or that. Because I don't believe Josh is some football man. He's probably more a football man than Stan. Cool. Who isn't?
You have to be a football man?
No, you just have to be ambitious. You have to want to win. You have to, you know.
But since they've taken over 100% ownership. Listen, I'm not here to back them and stuff like that, right? But since they've taken over ownership of the club, there's been massive improvements, haven't there? In the personnel we're signing, in the type of players, you know, in Arsenal challenging again since they've taken over 100% ownership. You've got to give them that.
They have, but it coincides with us falling out of top four. That's what it coincides with. So for me, it was always getting back to square one, which is a club expected to challenge for a league title at least, because that's what they picked up in 2006-ish when they first invested. They picked up a club challenging, a club that just went Champions League final, a club that had OGs, legends of the game, not just Arsenal. That's what they picked up. So going back to square one now, I won't even say we're back to square one officially yet, but we're back in the Champions League. And what did they show? 3 windows in a row of underwhelming movement.
When you say they're not successful owners,
they're not.
LA Rams?
One title in like 25 years.
Won the Super Bowl. That's a huge feat. Let's run through a couple of things, right?
Go on.
Denver Nuggets. That's who owns them.
But you know what the production should have done?
Denver Nuggets. No. Just answer. Wait a minute. Before you say what you got to say, just answer these questions. Cool. Denver Nuggets.
Yeah.
NBA champions 2023. Who owns them?
Yeah. Kroenke, one of them.
Colorado Avalanche. They won their NHL 2 Stanley Cups.
Mm-hmm.
Who owns them?
It must be Kroenke's.
Yeah. Colorado Rapids. MLS Cup champions. 2010. That's a while ago, but they own them. Colorado Mammoth, lacrosse team. Not that I'm into lacrosse.
Get lacrosse out of it.
Right? Big sport in America. Big
Is
sport
it?
in America.
Is it?
Those are their sporting teams, right?
Lacrosse.
They are.
lacrosse?
So, you know that one where it's like you got this, you hold this thing and it's like a net. It's like a bit like hockey with a net or something. It's a real American type sport. But, so that you can't say they're not successful.
You know what the
owners if,
production should have done? Can I say it? Can I say it now?
Yeah.
The production should have added to the side how long they've been owners or part owners of all of these establishments. I don't know about Mammoth because I could not care less about lacrosse. I don't even know what the hell that is. Right? So MLS, NHL, cool, NBA. When I checked all of them, they've like Rams, they've owned for 25 years or so. They've moved them out of their original state. Upset a whole fan base, built one of the most expensive and now they won something cool. But since then, 2021,
Look at the stadium they built. You've been there.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
nice.
Right. So that
2021 at Denver Nuggets, 2023 they won it. They've been there for 20 years with Denver Nuggets again. I remember they had Carmelo Anthony and all that, and they didn't really build upon
but
it.
it shows
Avalanche and
that
Rapids,
does
I don't
not
know.
show that in recent times though their clubs have been winning things. So
Why is Arsenal not up there?
true, but
All American
but since
franchises.
they've taken over, fully owned by them, we have progressed, innit? You have to be real. Listen, I'm not their biggest
but
fan.
it depends
But
how
you have to admit it. They
Until you start filling up the cabinet, I can't even admit that because we are in a much better place.
progressed.
Yeah, but
So you're gonna give them credit for that.
the 6 years prior to them full ownership, because I don't even care about this full ownership debate, but let's just use 2018 full ownership. The 6 years before that, we had won like what, 4 FA Cups? Is it 3 FA Cups? Mm-hmm. Since that full ownership, we've won 1 FA Cup. So as much as we have made progress, I agree with that. We're more excited going into seasons because we think we can win the
Back
majors.
in the Champions League.
We haven't won anything apart from the FA Cup. So even since 2018, be excited and all that stuff, they've delivered 1 FA Cup.
You keep going back to that.
Yeah,
Be
I always go
excited
back
thing,
to
innit?
that because man ain't excited.
And you were getting
2025.
excited at the time.
Yeah, because they started. You said you
Were
told
you
us
not
to be
excited last season?
Which one?
Last season where we were 2
Going
points
into
off
it. Oh yeah, because of the rise.
As a season,
100%. Both
as the season was going along, were you excited?
last 2 years, yeah, not even just last year.
So if a man said to you, right, 3 years ago, what was it, 3 years ago,
Yeah.
be excited, and you were, well, what's he done wrong?
so what's next after be excited?
Well, he hasn't said it yet, has he?
Yeah, what he saying? Wait, what's next? Win
Man
now.
said to you, be
Is that the
excited.
next quote?
You see, this is when we say, this is why people think you've got an agenda.
No,
Man
because-
said, be excited. You just admitted you were excited.
Yeah, but you're using
But now
be
you say-
excited literally. What an owner means by be excited, or what he should mean, is we're going to start winning shit. Not, I'm going to take you to the brink of winning shit and we're not going to win shit. That's different. If you told me that, if he said be excited because we're going to get you to the brink, but we ain't going to cross the line.
Yeah, but who's gonna
I would have
say
been
that?
like, who the fuck's going to be excited? But if he said
No, but
be
no one's
excited,
gonna
we're going to
say that,
start.
innit?
Yeah, but that's taking the term literally. You can't use it against me then because I am excited about the last 2 seasons, not this season. But at the end of the day, that excitement has its threshold limit.
Got Real Madrid coming up. You're not excited?
I am.
Yeah,
I'm also-
before they took over the full ownership, we weren't playing them teams. We was in the we was playing in the Europa League.
Yeah, and if he meant
Now you're excited because
if
of playing Real Madrid.
Yeah, but if he meant be excited in that sense that you're going to play Real Madrid, because once upon a time he was told compete with Bayern and Real Madrid in them.
And we are now.
Are we?
Yeah,
Where?
we're playing them.
We're playing them. Doesn't mean I think Ludogorets might have played them. If you ask me agenda, if you define it with you've got a problem with them and you're always going to look at them to fix the problem, then yes, Robbie,
Okay.
I do have an agenda.
In 2018, we're miles off it. 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Then they took over full ownership. Mm-hmm. Since then, we've been competing, yes or no?
Competing for what since then?
Competing for the league.
Since 2018.
So you're going to give them some credit for that?
Since 2018, we've been competing.
When
for the
they've
league.
taken over the full ownership,
Yeah.
are you going to give them
2018.
credit? Are you going to give them credit that we're back competing?
Nah.
Us.
Nah. Who took us from competing to not competing? Kroenke's.
No, it weren't just them.
What?
It was a mess when it was like them. It was the
Usmanov
the
had
Usmanov, and it was
had
all
shares. Usmanov had shares, no say. He wasn't allowed on the board.
No, but what it is,
Hillwood had a say, but he passed his say on to the Kroenke's. The Kroenke's been running this shit since they've owned 30%.
Yeah, but
40%.
let's be real. They hated
They did.
Usmanov. Usmanov hated them.
Yeah.
Right.
That's not my business.
Power play. I know it weren't my business, weren't none of our business. But the reality of it is, in business, is that there was a big sort of arguments going on behind the scenes between the two of them. They didn't want to go spending big money because he was involved and stuff like that. So once he's gone, now all of a sudden they started. They have outlaid a lot of money.
No, it's our money.
It's our money when we put it in
because of the heritage, the history, the fan base, the trophies, the Wenger era, the eras before that.
You're thinking of football like back in the day football now. It's changed a lot.
Yeah, well...
You've got to give him some credit, man. You can. You can do it.
How?
You can do it. That's what I'm saying.
You think you're going to get credit out for...
That's an agenda. No, because that's what an agenda is. When you don't want to give any credit at all. Because you've just got an agenda. He's like, I dislike this man so much that I'm not going to give him no credit at all. I've seen you, man. I've seen you. You walk under that tunnel on the way to the ground, and you walk past that the mural of it, and you're like,
I'm vexed.
See, that's what I'm saying. Agenda.
Imagine your missus. So if your missus cooks dead food for 20 years, and then one day she brings in the plate, and it's a nice dish. It's something better than she's used. Are you going to turn around and say, "Well done"? The fuck's happened to the last 20 years? Let's
change that. If the missus cooked dead food, this is the really bad.
I'm just using,
parallel, right? But she cooked dead food for 20 years, right? And then all of a sudden, for the next 3 years now, she's really improved, man. She's cooking me good food night after night after night. Everything's like, the standard's getting right up there. I'm going to encourage.
You think Havertz is good food?
I'm going to encourage her.
And then
I'm going to encourage her.
Kroenke, even Marino. I'm
going to encourage her. Declan Rice would be good food.
Yeah.
Jollof.
But you're saying 3 years straight, they ain't been doing it like that. There's still remnants of the past.
You can give them credit. Go on. You go and do it.
No.
Just for some things.
No.
It's an agenda you got.
It's not an agenda, it's facts.
It's an agenda.
You're going to deliver me one steak and then give me biscuits for the next 3 windows.
This is an agenda.
And you think I'm going to remember the steak from a year and a half ago? I'm hungry again, brother. What's next?
You're proving it now. You've got an agenda against me.
Not next. I'm just not happy with biscuits.
You've got an agenda. Stop talking about biscuits and steaks, right? You've got an agenda. You're proving it right now.
I'm not proving nothing.
It is. They will give them no credit for nothing.
Nah.
So you can. It's easy all the time.